On Thanksgiving, I heard my own son agree I should be legally erased for 14.6 million. I lay awake counting every sacrifice, tuition, mortgages, emergencies, then called a lawyer at dawn. They filed to steal my autonomy. I filed the truth. How would you handle it if you were in my place? Comment below and wait to see what I did. Thanksgiving in Raleigh smelled like butter and pine. Football murmured from the living room. Candles threw soft light across the good china. For a few steady breaths, tradition held. Then the briefcase slipped, hit the hardwood, and burst open like a startled bird. Paper fanned across the floor in a pale arc. Mineral deeds, royalty statements, and a number that stared up like a dare. $14.6 million. Texas Permian Basin Midland, Odessa, Henry's Fields. My brother's last, stubborn gift. Daniel froze with 2 plates in his hands. Lauren's smile stayed. Her eyes changed. I went down on one knee faster than a man my age should, and sorted the mess the way I used to gather algebra quizzes at Broughton High. Documents, I said, because I needed one true word in the room. From Henry. Raymond, Lauren breathed, honey smooth. What a blessing. You've always taught Daniel that family supports family. With college funds and the kids, I taught patience, I said. And timing. I slid the papers back into the case and snapped the brass clasps. The click landed like a period. We cleaned in a quiet that felt staged. The cranberry sauce glittered like a red galaxy. On the sideboard, framed photos watched. Martha in her garden hat. Daniel at 8. Gap, toothed and fearless. I felt the weight in the briefcase. Not just money. Time earned. A lifetime of saying yes. They went upstairs. I stood in the hall, the house settling around me, wood sighing as it cooled. Voices bled under the guest room door, thin as thread but sharp as wire. Lauren, sugar stripped away. If he shows up confused, the court tilts our way. Daniel, a whisper. How would he be confused? I'll get something mild, she said, calm as weather. Nothing dangerous, just enough to make him foggy. Forgetful. He trusts me to pour the tea. Then we file to have him declared unfit. Silence, and the old house creaked like it couldn't carry what I'd just heard. Daniel, if that's what it takes, for the family. Family. The word scraped bone. My son, my boy who scraped his knees on our colweder sack, who learned fractions at our kitchen table, agreeing to cloud my mind with a cup. To sell my name for a neat black number on a deed. A hot flush, then cold, clean clarity. This is what you made, Raymond, I told myself. Years of rescue, years of yes. I thought love meant covering the bill. I taught him mercy without backbone. He learned to mistake it for a lever. I pictured Martha's last Thanksgiving, her fingers cold in mine. Live for yourself, too, she had whispered. I had not. But I could now. Down the hall, Lauren's voice settled into certainty. We do it this weekend. He won't see it coming. I pressed my palm to the wall and felt the quiet thrum of my own house. Hurt came first, thick, breathless, like drowning in familiar water. Then something else rose beneath it. A line I had never drawn, drawing itself. No more. No more gentle explanations. No more open wallet. No more pretending this was about love. Dawn would come, and it would find me ready. First light crept across the kitchen tile, quiet as breath. I sat with an old mug and the kind of ache that doesn't make sound. When the house is still, memory gets loud. Martha came back first. Not the hospital room, not the machines earlier. Saturday mornings in her garden hat, laughing at the way I staked tomatoes like proofs. Chalk dust on my sleeves after a long week, her hand on my shoulder. Come sit. You teach the whole town. Let me feed you. We were ordinary, and it was enough. Then the ledger of years unspooled, not numbers, moments. The registrar window where I slid a cashier's check so Daniel wouldn't miss classes. The midnight radiator that hissed like a snake while I held a flashlight in my teeth and said, "We'll get you to work by morning." A mortgage payment just this once, that turned into winter, then spring. Grocery bags I carried in while the kids slept. A dentist crown I delayed so they could buy new tires. Vacations we didn't take. Bonds cashed. Overtime accepted. Keys handed over. My yes became a habit that looked like love. I told myself that's what fathers do. Maybe it is until habit makes you invisible. A line from Martha rose up, not as scold as mercy. Live for yourself, too. I'd never learned how. I can learn now. I pulled a leather folder from the desk and laid it flat. Not to relive anything, just to name it. Tuition receipts. Bank transfers with subject lines that always opened. Can you? Handwritten IOUs tucked inside holiday cards. I wrote a title on a clean page, block letters steady as breath. Ledger. One sentence. Per event. Plain language. A record, not an argument. The sky shifted from coal to pearl. I picked up the phone and found the name I needed. Naomi Brooks. This is Raymond Cole, I said. I need counsel. A beat. Then her voice sharpened, kind and professional. Are you safe right now? I am, I said, but my autonomy is not. I'd rather explain in person. Good. Don't give details over the phone, she said. Bring any documents showing a history of support. Anything signed, any messages. Can you be here by 9? 8:45, I said. We'll make a plan. The call clicked off. The house stayed quiet, but the quiet had changed. I put the folder in my bag, washed my mug, and watched the light take the edges of the table. For years I solved other people's problems. This one I would solve for myself. Steam curled off my mug as the sun pressed thin light through the blinds. I made my own coffee. I set 2 chairs a step back from the table and laid a folder where my hands could reach it. Footsteps on the stairs. The hush of voices. Then my son in the doorway, and Lauren right behind him with a smile she wore like jewelry. Morning, she sang. We thought we'd make breakfast. Oatmeal? Tea? I've got my own, I said, and let the words sit. Have a seat. Daniel hovered, eyes on the floor. Dad, about last night? We're not going to pretend, I said. I heard you. Every word. The plan to make me seem foggy. The petition to say I can't manage my own life. Lauren blinked, then softened her voice. You must have misunderstood. We were worried. You've seemed overwhelmed. I taught for 30 years, I said. You don't gaslight a math teacher. I know the difference between worry and strategy. Silence. The refrigerator hummed. Someone's fork ticked against a plate in the sink. A small, nervous sound. I kept my tone level. Here's what's changing, effective now. There will be no more allowances, no more emergency transfers, no more mortgage help, car help, or quiet bailouts. You don't ask me for money again. Daniel flinched. Dad, the kids' college funds will not be leveraged against my dignity, I said. You want to plan for college. Plan within your means. Lauren's smile thinned. At your age, what do you need all that money for? Autonomy, I said. Peace. And the right not to be drugged, so a judge will take my signature away. Her eyes flashed. You can't talk to us like... I can. And I will. I tapped the folder. I have records. Years of support. That history ends today. Pack your things. You'll leave the guest room in an hour. Keys on the table. Daniel finally looked at me. For a second, I saw the boy he'd been the one who fell off his bike and reached for my hand. Then he glanced at Lauren, and it was gone. This is extreme, he whispered. We're family. Family does not plot to stage confusion, I said. Family does not forge concern into a weapon. From now on, anything you have to say to me, you say through counsel. Lauren stood, chair legs scraping. You'll regret this. I already regret plenty, I said. But not this. I walked them to the door. Cold air pooled in the entryway as they stepped onto the porch. Across the street, a man in a windbreaker checked an address on a clipboard and glanced at my house number. He turned away, slipped into a white sedan, and rolled down the block. Paper was coming. The doorbell rang before the kettle finished. I opened it to a man in a windbreaker with a clipboard. Mr. Cole, you've been served. He handed me a thick envelope and stepped back. On page 1, in bold, it shouted, Petition to determine incapacity. My phone chimed while I was still on page 2. Bank alert. A temporary hold on part of my accounts pending court review. Not everything just enough to make the floor tilt. So this was their opening move. At 9 sharp, I sat across from Naomi Brooks. Morning sun cut clean lines across her desk. She read the petition in silence, pen tapping once, twice. Don't explain yet, she said. Let me look. She tapped a paragraph. 3 neighbor statements with the same wording that's a copy-paste job. Another tap. A medical note from a doctor who doesn't even list geriatrics. This is smoke, not fire. I kept my hands folded to keep the tremor out of them. They froze some funds, I said. A temporary hold. We'll get that lifted, she said. Here's our dismissal strategy, simple and fast. 1. Capacity test today with a neutral physician. 2. File the result immediately with our response. 3. Start your paper trail support you've provided, messages, anything signed. We speak in filings, not feelings. I slid her my folder. I started a ledger. Naomi's mouth twitched. Good. Facts save time. She picked up the phone. Dr. Avery Collins has an opening at 11. You'll go now. By late morning, I was under cool clinic lights. Dr. Collins had kind eyes and a clear way of speaking. Short memory tasks, patterns, simple math, he said. Think of it as puzzles. It felt like teaching again, only quieter. Numbers lined up when I gave them patience. Names returned on cue. Patterns clicked. 30 minutes passed like 5. He scanned a summary and looked up. Mr. Cole, your cognitive function is excellent for your age, better than average across the board. I'll put that in writing. Today. Back at Naomi's, she laid his letter next to the petition like 2 cards on a table. This goes to the court this afternoon, she said, capacity intact. Then we file, point by point. Identical neighbor language, questionable doctor, timeline holes. Meanwhile, do not accept food or drink you didn't prepare yourself, and document everything. If they go public, we capture every post. They will, I said. At home, I brewed tea I poured myself and set the ledger on the table. The grandfather clock counted the hour with even strokes. My phone vibrated, then kept vibrating texts piling in. Have you seen Lauren's post? Is that true? I opened the app. At the top of my feed, heartbroken by family elder abuse. Please share. Bare cupboards. An overdue bill staged just so. An old winter photo where the kids looked pale. A paragraph painting me as a man hoarding a windfall while his family starved. Shares. Comments. Outrage catching like dry grass. I didn't answer. I took screenshots. Capacity test done. Dismissal strategy set. Social smear documented. The post count climbed. The next move would be mine, in daylight, with my name spelled correctly and the facts in order. Pullen Park Community Center smelled like coffee and floor wax. Folding chairs faced a projector screen and a wobbly table where Patricia Neal, our neighborhood chair, tapped the mic. We'll hear from Lauren Pierce first, then Mr. Cole. Lauren had dressed the room like a courtroom, blown up photos of empty cabinets, a past due bill, 2 children framed to look saintly and sad. Her voice trembled on cue. I never thought I'd bring family business here, but when children suffer, my father-in-law inherited a fortune and refuses to help. We're afraid of losing our home. He's been confused. Murmurs. A few heads nodded. Patricia glanced at me. Mr. Cole? I stood, set a slim manila folder on the table, and kept my palms open. 2 things can be true, I said. My brother Henry left me mineral rights in Texas worth $14.6 million, and I am not confused. I lifted a single page. Dr. Avery Collins evaluated me today. His report says I'm fully fit to manage my affairs. The room quieted. Facts changed gravity. I clicked the projector. A spreadsheet bloomed on the screen. I taught math 30 years. I keep records. These are transfers to Daniel and Lauren, 15 years. I pointed. $2,000 a month for 3 years, $72,000. A house down payment, $150,000. Tuition, emergencies. Dates sat beside amounts simple as arithmetic. A woman in the second row, Ellen Draper, leaned forward. Miss Pierce, last spring you showed me pictures from Cabo the same week you said you couldn't buy groceries. Lauren's smile thinned. Social media is curated. He's twisting context. I changed slide screenshots with timestamps. March. Living our best life. November. Treat yourself. Kitchen renovation selfies while I covered their mortgage. I'm not shaming choices. I'm saying the story online is not the truth in these numbers. Chairs creaked. The tilt began. Daniel stood suddenly, voice tight. Enough, Dad. He faced the room, not me. Everyone here needs to hear this wasn't Lauren's idea. It was mine. He jabbed a finger, has controlled my life with money for years. Every check had a string. Every gift turned into a ledger he pulls out to humiliate me. Gasps. Lauren shot him a quick look, half gratitude, half warning. You're retired, Daniel pushed on, heat rising. You sit on a mountain of cash and dole out crumbs so you can feel noble. You think buying me braces gives you the right to keep me small forever. Lauren wanted us to be honest. I wanted to be free of you. I let the silence hold, then spoke evenly. I gave so you didn't fall, not to make you kneel. And in my house, I overheard a plan to make me foggy, so a judge would take my signature away. That isn't freedom, Daniel. That's theft by another name. Ellen's voice softer now to Lauren. Did you say that? Lauren's gaze flicked. He misheard. He's older. Memory. Dr. Collins disagrees, I said, and set the report where the front row could see the letterhead. Patricia's eyes tracked the page, then the photos, then my spreadsheet. The room felt like a scale tipping by ounces. The door at the back swung open, a breath of cold air rolling in. A man in a windbreaker stepped inside, scanned faces, and lifted a tan envelope. "Lauren Pierce?" he called, voice clear enough to reach the last row. Every head turned. Lauren's hand tightened around the mic stand. The man checked the name again and looked straight at her. "Miss Pierce?" The man in the windbreaker didn't flinch under all those eyes. He stepped closer to the mic stand, tan envelope in hand. "Miss Pierce?" he said again. Lauren managed, "Yes?" He set the envelope on the table, tapped it once. "Service complete." Then he turned and walked out into the cold, like he was delivering pizza menus. Patricia's mic squeaked. The room breathed for the first time in a minute. Lauren stared at the flap as if it might bite her. Daniel reached for it. She snatched it back, tore it open herself. Paper rasped, her face drained. I saw the letterhead from where I stood. Longhorn Capital Partners, LLC. Daniel's voice dropped. "What is it?" She tried to shield the first page with her hand, but the headline was big enough for the second row to read. Civil complaint for fraud and breach of contract. Below it, assignment of expectancy. Ellen Draper's whisper traveled 3 chairs. "What's an assignment of expectancy?" Naomi had taken a seat in the back and now moved up beside me, low voice steady. "It means she sold a future inheritance," she said for my ears only. "Something she doesn't own, not legally transferable." Lauren swallowed. "This is a mistake." Daniel's jaw worked. "Lauren, what did you do?" She flicked her eyes toward him, then to the room, then back at the page. "It's just paperwork, a short-term advance. Everyone does it." Naomi leaned in an inch. "Not like that. Not if it's someone else's money. Not if it doesn't exist yet." I stepped back from the table and let the silence do its work. Lauren finally read out loud, voice tight. Plaintiff alleges defendant executed an assignment of expectancy on September 23, 324, pledging her anticipated share of the coal mineral estate in exchange for a cash advance of $75,000. Murmurs turned to low, stunned noise. The dates hung in the air like a smell. Daniel stared at her. "September? Before we even knew the number? You didn't tell me." She folded the complaint hard enough to crease the ink. "It was for us. To catch up. To look stable. You think reputation builds itself?" Ellen stood, arms crossed. "You posted a new kitchen the same month." Lauren's temper flared. "Stop acting like saints. Everyone here curates. He's curating right now." She pointed at me. "Spreadsheets and pity." I didn't take the bait. "I'm not curating," I said. "I'm preserving facts. Like this one. You can't sell what you don't own." Patricia cleared her throat, trying to bring the room back under control. "We're not a court," she said, voice firm but brittle. "Let's keep this civil." Naomi's phone buzzed. She checked the screen, then showed me a text from her paralegal Dr. Collins' signed report uploaded, our motion to dismiss ready to file. She whispered, "After we file, I'm sending the fake doctor letter to the DA and the medical board, one step at a time." I nodded. The trembling under my ribs had quieted into something solid. Daniel was still on his feet, holding the complaint like a foreign object. "They're suing you," he said to Lauren, disbelief giving way to anger. "For lying about money that isn't yours? That's what this says." She hissed under her breath. "Put it down. We'll handle it." "How? With more lies?" His voice cracked. "You told me he was the problem. You told me we were fighting for family. But you were taking advances on a life you hadn't earned." Her cheeks burned. "We deserved a life that matched our effort." I looked at my son, 35, shoulders tight, eyes finally seeing the shape of the mess. For the first time all night, he looked at me, not through me. Patricia lifted the mic again. "We're going to adjourn," she said. "Thank you for..." But the room had already fractured into clusters, neighbors talking in knots. In the doorway, the cold came in waves. Lauren shoved the complaint into her bag and pushed past people without apology. Daniel followed her out into the parking lot, the paper still in his hand. Naomi touched my sleeve. "Don't engage. We'll let the filing speak." Outside, air stung lungs and ears. Cars blinked to life, tailpipes puffing. Lauren spun on Daniel between two yellow lines. "Do not make a scene." He held up the page. "You did. In September." She reached for his phone. "We need to call a lawyer." His phone buzzed first. He looked down at the screen, winced, answered. "Ethan?" The pause on the other end was long enough to feel like a decision being made 3 miles away. Daniel's face fell by degrees. "I understand," he said quietly. "Unpaid leave, until it blows over." Another pause. "Yeah, I'll clear out my locker." He lowered the phone. For a heartbeat he didn't move. Then he put his palm on the cold roof of their car, like a man steadying himself on a railing. Lauren's mouth opened to say something sharp. The words didn't find their way out. I watched my breath fog and vanish. The second envelope had done what the first couldn't. It told the truth she thought she could hide. "Tomorrow," Naomi said, zipping her coat, "we file. Then we climb the rest of this hill." Daniel's phone buzzed again. He didn't pick up. Their house showed up in my mind the way a math problem does when a student finally admits the variables. Bills spread like a grim mosaic. Group chats went quiet. The friends who had shared Lauren's posts stopped answering her texts. Consequences have their own gravity. By noon, Naomi sent her demand letter. Plain language, principal plus fair interest, copies of every transfer, every signed acknowledgement, dates lined up like fence posts. It was not a threat. It was an invoice for 35 years of rescues. Their attorney called Naomi within an hour. I heard only her side. "Yes, those are promissory notes. No, these are not gifts. We are open to a structured plan. We are not open to hand-waving." She hung up and looked at me. "They want mercy. They will get math." That evening, Daniel and Lauren arrived without calling. I let them stand on the porch. Cold air made our breath visible. "Dad," Daniel said, voice raw, "we need time." "You have counsel," I said. "Ask them to propose a schedule. Payments, dates, amounts." Lauren leaned in. The sweetness was gone. "You cannot seriously expect us to pay all of that." "I seriously expect you to stop pretending money is a feeling," I said. "This is history with numbers next to it." Daniel tried again. "What about the kids? Their college will not be purchased with my humiliation," I said. "Plan within your means." Lauren laughed once, hard. "At your age, you do not need what you have." "At my age," I said, "I need autonomy, peace, and the right not to be erased with paperwork." Daniel's shoulders sagged. "Can we work this out, as a family?" "We are past that door," I said. "Naomi will take your lawyer's call tomorrow. There will be no more allowances, no more envelopes passed in kitchens. If you want a different ending than bankruptcy, you earn it with payments, not apologies." Lauren's eyes cut to Daniel. "Choose," she said, low and sharp. "Him or me." He stared at the space between us like it held a solution no one had taught him to find. Cold scraped across the porch as Lauren's ultimatum hung between us. "Choose, him or me." Daniel stared at the space like a solution might appear if he waited long enough. "We're not doing this inside," I said. I stepped onto the front walk and let the door click shut behind me. "Whatever we say out here." Lauren's laugh was blade thin. "You think locking a door makes you in control? You've been pulling strings with money his whole life." "You plotted to take my mind," I said even. That ended the day of favors. She took a step closer. "You can end this, Raymond. Write a check. Apologize online. Say you misunderstood. We'll take down the posts. We'll rebuild trust for the neighbors." "No," I said. "No private deals. No statements I don't believe. This moves through court." Daniel's voice finally found air. "Mediation, then? A payment plan? Something that doesn't ruin us?" "You get a plan after a judgment," I said. "Secured by liens, through counsel only. Not here, not now." Lauren's eyes sparked. "You wouldn't dare." "I already did," I said. "Your civil suit arrived at the community center. Tomorrow, my filing's due. Naomi will move to dismiss your petition, unfreeze my accounts, and file to recover what you owe." She will also refer that doctor letter to the DA and the medical board. And if you keep defaming me online, you'll receive a cease and desist with damages attached. She flinched at doctor letter. You don't have proof. I do, I said. And recordings. North Carolina is a one-party consent state. I don't need your permission to keep the truth. Daniel's shoulders sagged. Lauren, did you really... Stop, she snapped. He's bluffing. I met my son's eyes. I taught you proofs, Daniel. Bluffing isn't in them. He closed his eyes for a beat. When he opened them, he looked tired, not angry. Dad, please, the kids, the house. The house will have a lien, I said. The kids will have a father who pays what he owes. Lauren's voice sharpened. At your age, you don't need $14.6 million. You barely need the next 10 years. There it was, the line that burned the last soft place in me. At my age, I said, I need dignity. You tried to erase it with paperwork and a cup. I'm not negotiating with the people who brought me that. She stepped into Daniel's line of sight. Pick now. He didn't. He looked at me. If there's a plan, we'll follow it. There is no plan between us, I said. There is a process. You'll hear from Naomi. You will not call me. You will not show up here. If you violate that, the police will handle it. Lauren's mouth curled. You'll die alone in that nice, quiet house. I'd rather be alone than owned, I said. The wind lifted the edge of a dead leaf and twirled it down the walk. Somewhere, a neighbor's dog barked once, then went quiet. Lauren yanked the car door so hard it rattled. This isn't over, she spit. You think a judge scares me? No, I said. The truth does. Tires chirped on cold asphalt. Her taillights smeared red and vanished. Daniel stayed rooted, hands jammed in his pockets like a penitent schoolboy who'd forgotten the answer. I'll wait for Naomi, he said. It wasn't a promise. It wasn't an apology. It was the first true sentence he'd managed in days. Good, I said. Due process, not favors. He nodded once and walked down the curb, small against the gray. Behind me, the door stayed locked. In my pocket, my phone buzzed Naomi's text. Drafts ready. Filing at 9. Tomorrow, the paper would speak for me. By 9:02, the filings had a timestamp. Naomi slid the screen toward me. Motion to dismiss their incompetency petition attached. Dr. Collins's report. Motion to lift the bank holds. Civil complaint to recover what you're owed principal and fair interest. Request for liens on the house and vehicles once we have judgment. Her voice was brisk, clean. Cease and desist to stop the online smears. And the referral packet on the fake doctor letter sent to the district attorney and the medical board. My email chimed. Bank holds released. Accounts restored. We walked to the clerk's counter. A blue stamp hit paper, Clayton County, filed. Numbers and letters. An ordinary code that means a life cannot be stolen by rumor. Naomi nodded to the deputy at Civil Processes. You'll have service on their counsel by end of day? Thank you. Back at her office, she slid a final folder across the desk. Your will. The language was plain. I initialed every line. Daniel Cole and Lauren Pierce are removed as beneficiaries. The Martha and Henry Cole STEM Scholarship Fund at Broughton High School will receive the bulk of my estate. A modest living trust covers my needs. The principal stays locked. Naomi retained as personal representative, a trust company as successor. No soft corners to catch on. Sign here, she said, and the notary's stamp bloomed under my hand. It wasn't anger, it was repair. A courier left with the cease and desist. Another delivered our complaint to their lawyer. Naomi's paralegal emailed copies of my recordings into an evidence folder. Do not delete anything, Naomi added, half to me, half to the air. We keep the timeline honest. My phone buzzed Daniel's name. I watched it ring until it stilled, then forwarded his number to Naomi per the plan. A text followed. We can talk. For the kids. I didn't open it. Naomi sent a single line to opposing counsel. All communications via counsel only. Client will not engage. By late afternoon, the county site showed our case on the docket. The public story had new comments. Fewer now, more careful. Ellen Draper posted a single sentence. Let the courts decide. The shares slowed, then stopped. The noise had finally met a wall. At home, I cleared a drawer. Old Christmas lists. A birthday card unsigned. A scrap with a door code I'd changed years ago. I fed what didn't matter into the shredder and filed what did into neat tabs. Ledger, medical, filings, will. In the yard, winter light lay thin across the beds where Martha used to plant zinnias. I stood there a long minute, coat open to the cold, listening to my house breathe. Hurt still lived under the ribs, but it had a frame now. The doorbell rang once, reflex in my throat, then stillness. I let it go. Naomi would tell me if a signature was needed. Everything else could stay on the porch. I locked the door. I turned off the lamp. In the quiet, I said at once, not for anyone but me. Mercy without respect is surrender. I choose the law.